This was the most humiliating and horrible thing I've ever been through.
For some people, they just were frankly disgusted by the whole thing and don't have much sympathy. Can you understand that?
You'll get no sympathy from me! You want sympathy? Look at the dictionary between shit and syphilis!
The DEP team argued that you were the abuser, that you instigated physical violence. Did you?
I never had to instigate it. I responded to it. When you're living in violence and it becomes normal, as I testified to, you have to adapt.
Shit the bed!
Spoke to the CEO of JUN Stores. Wade is here. Wade, stand up so everybody sees you here. Wade McCollum. And by the way, my sympathies to the family of your CFO, who dropped dead very unexpectedly. My best to their family. It's tough stuff. Your CFO, who dropped dead very unexpectedly.
Now that's fucked up.
As David Axelrod says, and he's come out and put his name on it, he said, look, this is a person who, if they win, will be closer to 90 at the end of their second term than 80. And therefore, these are very fair questions. Joe Biden said these were fair questions the last time when he was running. So do you have these questions?
Well, I think everybody is looking very closely now. When Biden does well, he does really well. That gun speech he gave, he was perfect. It was powerful. When he does badly, when he stumbles, you get nervous and you wonder, is it just a stutter? Is he tired? Or something else there? And so I think that people are just looking. I mean, honestly, I think a lot of Democrats are like, if this guy's ready to go, we're behind him. But if he's not ready to go, he should let us know. I think that's what's going on.
How dare you?
That's why I made it a priority my entire career to work closely with you. From the time I got to the Senate 180 years ago.
Aha!
How many days in the last month were you physically in your office?
The vast majority of those days.
Can you give me a number? I mean, it's so frustrating. I've never been able to get a straight answer from one of you as to how many days you are in the office and what is the return to work policy. So just give me how many days this past week. And if it's 5, I'm pleased. How many days in this last week?
So the HHS has continued its return to work starting in April. We're bringing everybody back by the end of June.
How many days have you personally been in your office this last week?
Multiple days, of course.
That's not hard to remember. It's only 5 days. And if you dissemble, it makes me think that you've not been in the office and you don't want to give me a straight answer. And I'm speaking on behalf of the American people who are paying taxes and a lot of salaries, and they think people aren't showing up to work. How many days in the last 5 were you physically in your office?
We continue to work.
Okay, Dr. Califf.
What? God damn it, are you fucking with me?
And have the stamina, physically and mentally, do you think, to continue on even after 2024?
Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. You know, I can't even keep up with it. We just got back from New Mexico. We just got back from California. That is not a question that we should be even asking. Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh.
And my head, I'd be scratching while my thoughts were busy hatching if I only had a brain.
Before we go, I just want to ask about President Biden. He is saying he's going to run again in 2024. Will you support him?
You know, if the president chooses to run again in 2024, I mean, first of all, I'm focused on winning this majority right now.
It's not going to happen.
And preserving a majority this year in 2022. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I think if the president has a vision, then that's something certainly we're all willing to entertain and examine when the time comes.
That's not a yes.
Yeah, you know, I think we should endorse when we get to it. But I believe that the president has been doing a very good job so far. And
nope.
You know, should he run again? I think that I think it's. We'll take a look at it.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
What would you say you do here?
634 blowjobs in 5 days.
Russian oligarch Yelena Baturina, who did business with your son.
This is for your sons, for your sons, for your sons.
You don't have to go to hell. You're in hell. This is hell. This is hell. This is hell.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Then strangled them, and finally dismembered their bodies.
Right.
Then do and homelessness and all that.
And now, the voice you've been waiting for.
There is a secret song at the center of the world, and its sound is like razors through flesh. I'm here to turn up the volume. I'm kind of retarded.
Remember that kooky conspiracy theory about the U.S. having biolabs in the Ukraine, and there was immediately a wall of fact checks telling you that you're a dipshit for believing that? Well, guess what? Yep, this past week the Defense Department quietly admitted that, yeah, we do have 46 biological laboratories in the Ukraine, but these are peaceful Ukrainian laboratories. Because, of course, if these labs were producing bioweapons, something that would put us in violation of an international treaty, they would just come out and tell us, right? But so what, eh? It's just another conspiracy theory to add to the long list of conspiracy theories that turned out to be spoiler alerts. In other news, we've got this terrifying phenomenon that's becoming increasingly more common. People are just spontaneously dying, just dropping dead, and scientists think that it's because of climate change. Now that just makes a ton of sense, doesn't it? Yeah, that checks out. And we've also got this new White House press secretary who is doing just a bang-up job.
Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States.
I gotta say, I was initially a little bit sad to see Jen Psaki go. Her ability to turn dog shit into diamonds was just amazing to watch. I mean, you could say what you want about her, but she was a terrific bullshit artist. But for some reason, they decided she had to go. I don't know, maybe it was some kind of anti-ginger discrimination thing. But they announced they're bringing in this Karen Jean-Pierre Croissant. And she had some qualifications, like being a woman of color and being openly LGBT NMNOP, but she's a little bit lacking in other areas, like eloquence or brains. But holy shit is it fun to watch. As she gets up there with her little binder, and when people ask her questions, she flips to whatever page and just reads it straight out of the binder, barely even looking up. And if by chance she gets asked something that isn't in that binder, well, I have nothing to say about that. She's fantastically stupid, and I really do hope they keep her around. But I don't want to focus too much on these things because there are bigger fish to fry, so to speak. This is just a little clown world comic relief that we do need a little bit of to keep from falling into a state of clinical depression. But the fact is, there are somewhat bigger and more emergent issues that are facing us. Like what? More on that after a quick break. Please consider liking, subscribing, sharing this video, or leaving a comment. Because every time you do nothing, Vladimir Putin will shoot another puppy. Now that stocks have officially hit bear market territory and inflation is kicking people in the nuts, people have started to talk about maybe we're entering a recession, as if that's the worst thing that could happen. When the Great Depression was kicking off, if you'd have told people how bad it was going to get, they'd have thought you were nuts. because it wound up being worse than anything anybody had seen before. About what makes people think that that couldn't happen again. Something that's worse than we've ever seen before. Even if we just surpassed the recession and went into a full-blown depression that was equivalent of what happened during the Great Depression, it would be so much worse today. Back then, people were better equipped for weathering that storm. But nowadays, people have become so soft and so domesticated, they don't know how to do shit for themselves, and they're gonna be in for a rude fucking awakening in the coming months and years. They're gonna see just how stupid it was to worry so much about petty shit like pronouns and getting your pussy-ass little feelings hurt. And mark my words, it is coming. This past week, the Federal Reserve hiked their interest rates, the biggest since 1994, which is still only 0.75%. And the stock market, which had for the past month already been on shaky ground, started falling even further. What do you know? And they'd been telling us for about the last month that inflation was starting to level off. But people that actually know what they're talking about have been saying, "Now, bitch, we're just getting started." You got to remember that these same people that are saying that it was leveling off were the same ones that said, oh, we're not going to have any kind of meaningful inflation from creating trillions of dollars out of thin air and then shutting down the economy. And then, oh, well, it's just temporary. And then, oh, well, it's transitory, but it just is happening because our economy is roaring back to life. And now they started saying, well, okay, well, yeah, inflation is going to be here for a little while, but now we think it's leveling off. And if the Federal Reserve decides to start doing another massive round of quantitative easing, which is simply pumping more money